What a wonderful way to kick off Randolph-Macon's 2021 recognition of the life and lessons of the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr., who would have celebrated his 92nd birthday on January 15. I'm Bob Lindgren, president of Randolph-Macon College, and it is my great pleasure to welcome you to our annual Martin Luther King Day observance, where we consider Dr. King's life, his legacy, and the virtues he lived. Virtues that remain critically important today: integrity, justice, courage, perseverance, compassion, and kindness. Thanks to our fabulous Ujima choir for that splendid performance from an earlier MLK program. And please stay tuned, everyone. You will hear from them again, along with 3 significant speakers, including Dr. Tameshia Grimes, distinguished member of our class of 1996, who serves as superintendent of schools for Nottoway County, Virginia, and is the chair of our invigorated Multicultural Alumni Association Advisory Council. And a member of our class of 2023, Mansour Yagoub, a business and pre-ministerial studies student from Richmond, will provide our moving closing. But first, it is my great pleasure to introduce our keynote speaker, Professor Alphine Jefferson, who is retiring at the conclusion of this academic year after 16 years of excellent service on the faculty of RMC and 43 years of exemplary teaching, research, and service in higher education, a career during which he has made a profound difference on his campuses and in his communities. Now, you may not realize that Dr. Jefferson was born and raised just about 15 minutes northeast of our campus here on a small family farm near a community called Frog Level. In search of better economic and educational opportunities, his family divided his growing up years between that nearby farm and Baltimore, Maryland, where he would graduate from Frederick Douglass High School. While his father could not read or write, and his mother was schooled only through the 7th grade, their middle child of 5, Alphine, developed a powerful love for and devotion to learning. He earned his bachelor's degree at the University of Chicago in 1973 and his master's and PhD in history at Duke University. While an undergraduate, he spent a semester at England's Warwick University, no doubt planting seeds for his tremendous support for study abroad programs, which he has led so effectively here over the years, including to exciting destinations like Ghana, Brazil, Guatemala, Kenya, and others. Professor Jefferson's full-time teaching career includes Northern Illinois University, SMU, and more recently 15 years at the College of Worcester in Ohio. Proud Worcester alumni on our faculty include Professors Jim Doring and Lauren Bell, and Dean Bell has observed that Dr. Jefferson was a legend there. And it was his very admirable devotion to his then elderly parents that so fortuitously brought him back to our area, for him to come home. And he began his teaching at RMC in 2005. Dr. Jefferson has served here with great distinction as a professor of history, director of our Black Studies program, respected conscience of the faculty, highly regarded teacher, and as a significant mentor to many grateful students. He invigorated our Black Studies program, leading to our establishing it as a major earlier this year. A national leader in the field of oral history, he has also been deeply involved in our community, serving as the longtime leader of the Hanover County Black Heritage Society, chief organizer of this area's Juneteenth ceremonies, and also serving the Ashland Museum, the Hanover Tavern Foundation, the Ashland Theater, just to name a few. And I'm so very grateful for his current service as a member of Randolph-Macon's Racial Equity and Opportunity Commission. While we fervently hope that his retirement from teaching later this spring will not diminish in any way his continuing influence on our campus and in our community, it seemed most appropriate, particularly at this moment, to ask Dr. Alphine Jefferson to reflect on Dr. King's lessons for today. Professor Jefferson?
If the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. were alive today, he would demand that we do more than just say their names. He would ask us to contemplate concrete and specific ways that the great nation of the United States of America could finally live up to and offer all of its residents the exalted promises and visions which have made this country the proverbial city on the hill. King would comment on the ways in which 2020 has made painfully obvious the many failures and fissures in our great land. He would ask us to move away from individual rights and privileges and beg us to do unto others as we would like others to do unto us. He would ask us to throw away the old actions and rhetoric which have been both selfish and uncompromising. He would implore us to see ourselves as the keepers of not only our brothers and sisters, but also all that dwells within the earth's domain. King would repeat his most famous quotation, "I am not free until you are free. You are not free until I am free." Then he would give us examples of how the unconscious but selfish act of discarding single-use plastic has ramifications far beyond our borders. He would call us to deliberate consciousness to see each other and ourselves as stewards of all that lives on the earth. King would say their names, and those of countless others who have perished into the dustbins of history only to be forgotten by the next generation. He would remind us that Marcus Garvey said, "A people without a knowledge of its history is like the grass blowing in the wind." He would tell us to study the past so that we can envision a more equitable, diverse, and inclusive future. Moreover, he would say that if you run far enough away from your problems, you return to where they began. Stay here, stay home, or travel far. However, wherever you go, remember to act for the people as you think for yourself. In 2020, King would both applaud and condemn the Black Lives Matter movement. He would remind us that in American history, a black life only matters if it makes money for corporate elites. He would castigate Black Lives Matter for its hypocrisy by only protesting and showing up when a black life is taken by a police officer or a white person. He would ask, is a black mother's grief any less when her son dies as a result of black-on-black crime? He would hang his head and weep at our self-righteous arrogance as we protest some violence and ignore that created by rural and urban desperation. As the pandemic has created global destitution, fear, and poverty, King would tell us of the folly of those who argue that a wage of $15 per hour kills jobs, while those same people pay each other and themselves that same amount per second and sometimes per minute. He would ask us, who are those people and how can they live among us and feel no shame? King would recall George Orwell's observation that all animals are equal, but some animals are more equal than others, as he sought to reconcile that gross contradiction. Indeed, King would note that W.E.B. Du Bois was prophetic when he said in 1903 that the color line will be the problem of the 20th century. He would confirm the validity of that observation by noting that Robert E. Park wrote that prejudice is a function of visibility. King would say that Park's remark encompasses not only class, gender, and race, but also ethnicity, religion, and sexuality. King would celebrate how far we have come, and he would mourn how much still needs to be done. Although he knew he would never see the mountaintop, the Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King would implore us to work together from our similarities and seek to diminish our differences through conversation, fellowship, and understanding, in order to create and sustain beacons of hope and light for all who come after us so that they can continue to maintain Pearl Buck's notion of the good earth as we say their names.
Fellow Yellow Jackets, when I think of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and what this day means, I think about my role in carrying out his legacy. And I ask myself, how am I making a difference for my family, for my community, and this world? I realize that I am a part of something bigger than my ancestors ever could have imagined. And if it were not for the hard work and resilience of Dr. King to continue to fight for justice and equality for all, I'm not sure where many of us would be. We have come a long way since the assassination of Dr. King, but oh my goodness, there is still so much work to be done. And though I do not know what the future may hold for us, I am fulfilled with hope. I hope that we will continue to push towards fulfilling Dr. King's dream. I hope that we take the learning that we have and our knowledge of our past and apply that to our future so that we're not destined to repeat the negatives of the past, but use those lessons to build upon what we have learned. But we also must recognize that our work cannot be done in a vacuum. We must work together, put aside our differences and selfish aims, and ensure that no one gets left behind and everyone has the tools to succeed and thrive. As an educator, this is especially important to me. The Multicultural Alumni Association's work is to carry out the vision of Dr. King and embody his legacy with each event and initiative that advocates for equity and justice and that fosters inclusivity in our community. I'm proud to serve as chair of the association, and I look forward to all that is to come. For it is our differences, our uniqueness, that makes us stronger and actually brings us closer together. The more goodness and light we can pour into our community, the brighter and stronger our future can be. The more we focus on how we are similar versus how we are different, the more unified we can be as a community. So please join me, fellow Yellow Jackets, and let us leave a legacy that not only impacts the lives of future Yellow Jackets, but the communities that they will one day lead and serve.
Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream and vision for our world, for our society, and for my own personal life has had a major impact on everything that we do, from me being able to stand in front of this camera at this campus, and to my desires with what I want to do with my life, pursuing a career and a vocation in ministry. It has had a major impact on the way that we communicate with each other, on the strides that we've made since his time, and the strides that we are going to continue to make moving forward in our society and in our world. Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King's vision for our world and for me personally reminds me of when I was at the Legacy for Success event here at Randolph-Macon College. One of the guests that we had told me that they remember when they were one of just 11 students of color on this campus, whereas today we have more than that. And we could always have more, but the fact that we've come from just 11 students of color to having an entire multicultural and diversity affairs group on campus, an entire sect dedicated to ensuring that students of color feel accepted, feel included, and are counted among the concerns that this campus has, is a beautiful thing. When I think of my hope for our society and for the inclusiveness and for the ultimate change for African Americans and all peoples of color in our nation and in our world, we've come a very long way, and yet we still have so very far to go. We live currently in a society with much civil unrest, where we are constantly in a state of civil unrest, and it seems hard to catch our breaths at times. But when we hold on to that hope that one day we will achieve the ultimate vision of Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., then we sort of catch our second wind. We catch this surge of energy to keep pushing, to keep moving, to keep striving, to keep achieving, to continue to climb that mountaintop that he said he visited long ago. So that one day, perhaps we ourselves can also see and experience the vision that he knew, and I still believe is possible for all of us to achieve.
I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back. I will go, I shall go to see what the end's going to be. I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back. I will go, I shall go to see what the end's going to be. I open my mouth to the Lord. I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back. I will go, I shall go to see what the end's going to be. I open my mouth to the Lord and I won't turn back. I will go, I shall go to see what the end's going to be. I open my mouth.
The end's going